Hello, a very good evening and welcome to A Date with the Dinner Set, programme 269 here on September the 14th. You are most welcome. I had an email this week from one of our viewers that said, I really like it because at the start of every programme you do that very British thing of talking about the weather. Well, there's nothing to say today, really, is there? And as Jean said, thank goodness I'm here just to brighten everything up. It's blimmin', it's damp in a sort of torrential way, isn't it? And a touch windy, but not in this room, I hasten to add. I hope this finds you well. You are most welcome, as I say. And it's very nice to see you, especially those of you that are talking with us live in the chat room. I know there are lots of others in the background, including at least two other aunties, but hello, Auntie Ros, in the chat room. Fantastic. So here we are on tonight's A Date with a Dinner Set, which is our usual mix of 6 songs, actually. It's 6.5 tonight, so don't go running off. It's 6.5 tonight. I know, I spoil you. I truly spoil you. No cricket. Right. Well, good. You can actually concentrate on my programme for once, Mark. Thank you for that. So our bit of opening music this evening, Mark, it wasn't that, but thank you. You, as always, are so good with your incorrect answers, providing me with so many things for the future. That is a good idea, because Space 1999 is another Barry Gray theme, which is a classic. No, that was the theme to Law and Order. Law and Order. Do we have any Law and Order fans in the chat room? Okay, so yeah, that's been running 35 years, since 1990. It's clocked up some 525 episodes, that police and legal drama series. It's very famous. I've watched a few episodes, but a long time ago, before the millennium, I would think. Yeah, it's good stuff, and the fact that it's been going for 35 years, I mean, it tells you something, doesn't it? I mean, it's a cracking theme. That theme appears all over the place. And it crops up in various other TV shows, in adverts, in internet memes, and the like. It was composed by this guy, Mike Post, and he has composed a whole bunch. Oh, no, I know, but it's worth watching once, I think. Yeah, he composed the music to Magnum P.I., I was going to say the A Train. I don't mean that, do I? What do I mean? The A Team. That's the one. Yeah, a great composer. He's also worked with David Gates, Van Halen, Kenny Rogers, etc., etc. So that groovy theme was Law and Order. So we always start off with 30 seconds of the TV music just to get us settled, you know, so we know it's Sunday. That sort of thing. So, as I say, we've got 6.5 pieces of music tonight, and nothing alarming tonight. It's all, yeah, it's one of those sort of programmes. The reason being, it's been one of those sort of weeks for me, so it's one of those sort of programmes for you. That's how it works, really. I think you will really enjoy at least one of them. I don't know which one. Take your pick. I don't mind. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to have a bit of coffee before we get going. That's really important. As always, if you're with us in the chat room and you want to talk along about the music, you can't talk about the cricket tonight, can you, Mark? Then do. Hello! Hello, Rosie and David, watching in separate rooms. Oh dear. Oh gosh, have you had an argument? Golly. Great to see you do enjoy the programme. Yes. Yes, whoever said it first. Hannah, thank you. It was indeed by the wonderful Michel Legrand. A rather fetching blue scarflet there, I feel. Oh, finally found me. I'm quite easy to find, Alison. I'm the loud one. The loud one. Anyway, how odd. How very odd. Anyway, it's very nice to see you now you're here. And that was indeed Watch What Happens. It didn't start its life as Watch What Happened. It started its life as part of, as my brother said, Les Parapluies de Cherbourg, the French art film from 1964, the collaboration between Michel Legrand and Jacques Demy, starring Catherine Deneuve. And when what you just heard appeared in the film, it appeared as what's called the Récit de Cassard. The Parapluie de Cherbourg, no spoken dialogue at all, everything is done through the song. And then the very famous lyricist Norman Gimbel wrote English lyrics to it, and it became Watch What Happens, a big upbeat number for... you probably heard me down the road in Fetcham, actually. I don't know. Big hit for Tony Bennett, Watch What Happens. But originally, that music composed in 1964. So that was our cracking one to start with. So I hope you enjoyed that one. As always, our customary reminder to press the thumbs up button if you like what you see and hear on A Date with a Dinner Set. Press that thumbs up. It will illuminate for you. It will help the jolly old algorithm to find our tune. I think you were pretty right, brother. We'll ignore the French spelling for now. It's fine. So I'm gonna say a big shout out to my friend from church, because I know you're listening out there, Jeannie from church, and I know that you will recognise and enjoy the next one. Well, I hope you all enjoy the next one, but I know that it's one of your favourites, so do enjoy. You know, sometimes it's fun just to let you keep chatting away and keep adding to what the title may or may not be. In actual fact, there is one correct answer amongst that sea of things, and Kate, it's yours. The title of the song is Try to Remember. Try to Remember. Yeah, and it's a lovely song, lovely romantic song about nostalgia. And it was composed in 1960, and it comes from the musical The Fantastics. And The Fantastics has the honour of being... Yes, indeed, Alison. Well done. I think you might be a few seconds behind. I don't know. You might be a few seconds behind. You might want to push that red button. It is try to remember, but kind of September. And that's as many lyrics as I can remember. Anyway, The Fantastics, the world's longest running musical, ran for 42 years, finishing its first run in 2002. Many revivals since, and that is the most famous song from it. The composer of The Fantastics was a guy called Harvey Schmidt. He did write a couple of other musicals after The Fantastics, but to be quite honest, you know, when you've got a musical that's just running to packed houses for 40 years, you don't really really need to sort of worry about composing too many more, do you? Unless you, I don't know. That's just my spin on it. It's a lovely song anyway, isn't it? It's one of those real sort of good old nostalgic ones that make people go, ah, all that sort of thing. Yeah, so this week's upload, if you've not seen it, there's a link underneath this video. I'm continuing September by every Friday doing an upload of a famous song by the wonderful composer Harry Warren. Great part of the American songbook and also a huge contributor to the early films with sound. And this is his song I Know Why and So Do You, which came in 1941, and it was part of the film Sun Valley Serenade. And very famously it made a hit by the Glenn Miller Orchestra. Good evening, Janet Bland. How wonderful to see you, having seen most of the rest of your family this morning. How lovely to see you. You are most welcome. Undivided attention. I'm honoured so much. Anyway, that was our second one. Try to Remember from 1960. Hope you enjoyed that one. Sip of coffee and on we go. indeed, Hannah. You are correct. Almost Like Being in Love. From Brigadoon. 1947 was the date on the tip of your tongues. It's one of those songs that's been covered by so many people, including, yes, indeed, Hannah, again, Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, Shirley Bassey, all these sorts of people have covered that song. It's a great song. And really, it was the first musical collaboration of Lerner and Loewe, Alan J. Lerner, and the music, of course, by Frederick Loewe. So this was a musical before they composed Paint Your Wagon and My Fair Lady and Camelot. And it's a pretty good one. And I was inspired to play it. I was talking to somebody last week who'd been to see a production of Brigadoon at Regent's Park Open Air Theatre. Gladly on not on a weather day like this one. And I said, oh, it's good music, isn't it? And she said, well, yeah, the one song is, and it's certainly the best song from it. So there we go. Almost Like Being in Love from 1947 from Brigadoon. If you've happened upon this and you're not already done so, do subscribe to Gigi the Piano Man. We'd love to have you as a part of our YouTube community. Do press the thumbs up button. If you would like to leave a comment on this or any of the 630 videos on my channel, please do. We love to have your comments. We always respond to your comments and do share it on, etc., etc., etc. And onward we go. Yes, the one with the tomatoes and the tomatoes, indeed. Let's call the whole thing off. Yes, it was before we got into the well-known bit, the verse. We don't always hear the verse, but I always do try and play the verses, if I know them, of these songs. They so often get forgotten, and I think that's a shame. And Hollywood is especially bad at that. The composers compose all these wonderful songs with amazing introductions and verses, and sometimes a section in the middle. They get clipped in the film because people just want the sort of sound-bitey bit that goes on the record. But that was Let's Call the Whole Thing Off, and it came from Shall We Dance? Boom, boom, boom. From 1937, starring Fred and Ginger. And if you remember that film, and as you can see in that little thumbnail, in their roller skates. So there we go. Let's Call the Whole Thing Off, of course. Of course, the wonderful Mr. George Gershwin with lyrics by Ira, composed in 1937. Now, George was already suffering at that stage with his health, with what was to become, sadly, his brain tumour that, that was his final year, 1937. So it's one of those very poignant songs. I hope you enjoyed that merry little one. Now look, after last week, I forgot to talk about it last week. Did anyone see last week the blimmin' lunar eclipse? The blimmin' lunar eclipse. I went out after my programme and I was talking to somebody about this, and I was staring up into the sky like a blithering fool, not knowing which direction to look. But also trying to sort of do that sort of nonchalant thing of, not making it obvious that I was looking for where the moon was. Because I knew that at 7:45 it was going to be at full eclipse, supposedly. And, well, I didn't see it, there's too many buildings around. By the time I did see the moon, I mean, it had eclipsed. It had gone. Well, it hadn't gone, it was there, that was the point. In full bloom of moon it was when I did finally see it. But I just wondered if anyone had any, lovely sightings of it. There's a few, as you're seeing on this little bit of video from The Guardian. I hope they don't get me for copyright on it. Of it in various places around the world. So that was last Sunday's lunar eclipse combined with a blood moon. On we go. Yes, yes, yes. Of course, the amazing, iconic theme music to that film, Chariots of Fire from 1981. Historical sport film. Again, another film I've not seen all the way through. I wish I had. But it's one of those themes, isn't it, that just everyone knows. Very, very clever bit of music. And whilst, of course, it was a period drama film, the music itself was very contemporary. Very of its time, very synthesizer-led by the wonderful Greek composer Vangelis. And yeah, not much more to say about that. Well, apart from obviously the very best performance in the world has to be that by Mr. Bean at the Olympics in 2012. But apart from that, it's just one of those iconic themes, isn't it? Yes, yes, yes. Indeed, that was an amazing collaboration. So, we've had 5 songs. I did promise you 6.5. You'll get the half at the very end. So if you want the half, you have to hang on for that. But before we launch into the 6th song proper, it would be wrong, very wrong, not to celebrate what our friends across the pond are celebrating today, which is National Eat a Hoagie Day. Yes, September the 14th. In the USA is National Eat a Hoagie Day, also known as a torpedo, or a sub, or a roll, I suppose. I was looking up the sort of etymology of it, and it doesn't seem to matter what you stuff inside it, as it were. But the general consensus seems to be that 1923 was when the word hoagie came about, and it originated in Philadelphia. And some accounts say that it started off as a hoggy, H-O-G-G, i.e. because if you ate it all in one go, you had to be a hog. And in the dialect around Philadelphia, that got changed to hoagie. Is one story, I don't know. But in choosing a picture for that, there were quite a few to choose from on the internet. I chose that one. Well, I don't like to say no, Alison, but I'm going to say no. As somebody who had several thousand great aunts who played bridge, my understanding of a bridge roll is a teeny tiny sort of delicate little thing, not a great big thing like that. I don't know. It's the same idea, though, the same shaped like a bridge, because there are so many bridges shaped like a big sandwich, like that. Petite. Ah oui, petite. There we go. National Hoagie Day, September the 14th. You heard it here. You hear it here. You always hear it here. This is such an amazing program in so many ways, though I say it myself. And occasionally we do some musical things as well. I don't think I could eat a whole hoagie. I'd much prefer to eat about 27 bridge rolls. Because that way you can justify it, can't you? If they're little bite-sized morsels. There we go. So we've got 1.5 songs to go, and let's launch into the next one. Do enjoy. Yes, yes, of course, as made very famous. Well, it was written for him, actually, by Louis Armstrong in 1967. That was What a Wonderful World. And it was composed by George David Weiss. And I've put up 2 pictures of him there because he obviously changed his appearance quite a bit. Here's a little factoid for you. It was number 1 in the UK, but it very nearly didn't make it at all in the US, which is most bizarre. It was recorded at 2 a.m. after one of Louis Armstrong's Vegas shows, and the head of ABC Records went along to the studio session that started at 2 a.m. And he said, I don't like this. And he kicked up such a fuss that he wanted the whole session cancelled. And it apparently got really quite violent, and he was evicted from the studio. This is the head of ABC Records. And as a result, it was not promoted in the US at all. So whilst it was a hit in so many places, it took time for it to become a hit in the USA. So those are our 6 songs proper, but you've got some play-out music. I played for a wedding last Saturday up in London. It just so happened one of the things I was asked to play is rather appropriate. You won't hear much of it because I'm afraid there's a lot of background sort of cheering and jeering and clapping. But in actual fact, as soon as you recognise what it is, that's all part of it. So I will say goodnight at this point and thank you for listening, and play you out with something which I hope you'll enjoy. Do take very good care of yourselves. All the best.